How's it going, everyone? Nick here with McGaughys Suspension. Got another truck here that we want to show off to everyone. This is Pat and his 2020 Chevy 2500 HD that's running on our 7 to 9 inch kit that recently got installed. He has had it out. You've had it out, right? A few times?
Yeah, a few times, yeah.
Where have you taken it out to?
Tooling around the Temecula area in Southern California in the desert, Borrego at least once. Love to get it out, at least get it dirty. She's clean now, but she spends a lot of her time dirty.
So not a street queen, you actually want to go out and take it out in the dirt. I saw it in the snow too at some point here recently.
For sure. We caught the first big dump at Big Bear. That was fun to test it out in that condition.
So let's tell everyone the little bit of backstory of, like, you bought this truck with your aspirations of lifting the truck with our 7 to 9 inch kit, and tell us about this wheel and tire combo, why you were basically motivated to go this direction.
Yeah, so I did buy it in 20 with the intention of lifting it. It's the gas model. I don't do a ton of towing with it. Just a step up from the work truck, it's the custom model, so not a lot of frills. I love the cloth interior. That's kind of old school. As far as the wheel and tire package, I wanted something that looked a little bit more meaty. As much as I appreciate large wheels and tires, not only do I prefer this fitment, but I also enjoy sort of the increased ride quality that the increase, tire width.
Sidewall.
Yeah, the sidewall offers.
So we're running a 38 1350 18, and this is going to be the Nitto Ridge Grappler. We've seen a lot of trucks with these tires. And then this is a Method 18x9 zero offset, which is equaling a 5-inch backspace. So your goal was to not have what they call a lot of poke. You didn't want it hanging out and peppering the whole side of your truck.
Yeah, for sure. I wanted it to come outside of the the body line a little bit, but as far as that really wide stance, that's not a look that I was going for.
Right, and then you wanted a little bit more tire sidewall just because of your flavor of style. We were kind of talking off the camera about the old school, like kind of the ways of the 90s and 2000s, where big tires and smaller wheels were just it, because there wasn't big wheels back then.
Yeah, for sure. Back then, circa 20 years ago, Central California, right? 20-inch wheels were huge, and if you wanted to put a truck up in the air, the biggest you were going to get was 16, maybe 18 inches.
Yeah, and this is back in the days when we were barely stepping off of 16.5s for like the 8-lug guy trucks, and it was usually 15-inch wheels, and if you had a 16, it was kind of oddball. And then little by little, we started seeing 20s and 17s and 18s and what have you. So this is a really cool combo. It's definitely not what we see online as drastically, but there are a lot of trucks running around. There was a truck that we talked back and forth on social media about, the gray one that the 717 gave away, and it was cool because they actually built that truck. It was I don't know if it was I think it was a GMC, or maybe it was a Chevy, but they had the 7 to 9 inch kit on it, and then they had the bigger tires, but they also had a separate set of tires that were wider. And man, that truck just looked way better on those bigger tires.
Yeah,
the bigger circumference.
For sure. Yeah, no, I definitely appreciated the meatier look. I thought it was cool with the promo that they were able to give you kind of what options, so that if you won, you could say, I think I like this look better. But I've always leaned towards this type of look. Again, I really love, I do like big wheels and tires, but I think for this build, I was looking for something with a little bit more utility. And again, the increased sidewall does improve the ride quality.
Okay, so let's get into the actual suspension, since we talked about the wheels and tires. To make these wheels and tires fit, basically you took it down to, we hooked you up with LTW Motorsports out in Corona, which is one of our dealers. They sell our product and install it, and they got you set up with the 7 to 9 inch SS kit with these stainless insert plates. And then I see that you have upper control arms and our reservoirs as well. Well, how was your experience with dealing with LTW?
LTW was great. Initially, I wanted to go bigger tires, and they're clearly experts in their field because they made some recommendations. I get about 90% of what I would have with the 40s. I also don't have to do as much body trimming. You can see we just did the front rear mud flap delete there. That was the only real modification required other than the undercarriage, right? But no, Josh and the crew were great. walked me through every step. They offered a lot of really good recommendations, and I'll for sure be going back there next time I need something.
Yeah, so let's talk about what you were just explaining right now. So this right here on the Chevys and the GMCs, usually it's a mud flap that they call it, that hangs down real low. And because of this size tire, the mud flap delete, which is just a really higher up end cap, was installed, but no inner fender mod up in the rear on the cab side, and then up on the front there was no cutting or anything aggressive, and on the bumper, what have you. So I mean, they have just a small little, they just take a little bit off, so it's not so squared off, but it's very, very slight, nothing major. So that was a good part. And the reason why that's you know, capable, because again, if this was a wider wheel that stuck out further, poked out further, and this size tire, then you would have had more interruption at the front bumper and at the cab side, so you would require modification. So if you're watching this and you want to fit 38s like this one, the one thing to keep in consideration is this wheel combo. What Pat went with was the significance of keeping it tucked underneath enough to fit without any trimming. If you go to a 10-inch wide or a 12-inch wide, or maybe a higher offset or something that offsetted out and poked out further, you're going to run into more trimming. So keep that in mind when you're talking about fitment. What
on fitment, I forgot to mention, they did add, there's a bumper space. So the front bumper is spaced out, I think, about 1/2 of an inch.
Yep.
I don't know if that's an LTW proprietary thing, or if that's you know, kind of more broadly available, but the front bumper was pushed out. I can't remember, it's either a 1/2 or an inch.
Maybe it looks like a 1/2. It's barely off. I didn't even notice it. So
yeah, and honestly, I forgot about it. That's how little you do notice
Yeah.
it when you're just looking at the truck, so it doesn't stick out like some you know, like some sore thumb. And again, one of the things that I wanted to kind of maintain was that mostly stock body without a lot of the trimming or some kind of wild front bumper setup.
Yeah, it's really hard when a truck owner wants to lift their truck when we're talking about these HDs, because there's so many trucks floating around on the internet and you don't get to see the specifics on what it takes to fit with the bumper and the cab side. So really you go into it kind of blind for the most part, unless you connect with someone that has a lot of experience with it. LTW has done a lot of these trucks, so they were wise to it. And you know, there's bumper spacers, there's different amounts of trimming, and what have you. So if you guys ever have questions about that kind of stuff on your truck, you're always welcome to reach out to us. You can DM me personally on Instagram or Facebook. I'm on there, or you can call our facility and talk to someone in the office. But just want to throw that out there, is that, you know, again, that's just something that you got to get more specific on. But if you want this exact look, again, 38 1350s on an 18x9, 0 offset, 5-inch backspace wheel, and it looks great. What else can you tell us about the truck and building it for yourself?
Love it. First of all, it's, you know, it is mostly a daily driver, right? So, but she's not a pavement princess. I try to get it off road as much as I can, time allowing. No, just love the truck. Spent a lot of time in it, cruising around, taking the family places, especially, you know, trying to get it dirty. So, nothing but good things to say about the truck. I love the color. I love the fitment. The McGaughys suspension obviously goes without saying. Their products are great and sort of a, you know, an industry standard, right?
Yeah, that's good. That's I'm super happy that I was able to connect with you, because we're not exactly close to each other, and you took the time out of your day today to come connect with me and be able to shoot this truck, which I was excited to. I've been wanting to for a while, just because I know the significance of being able to show this to the public. It is something that people are asking for and wondering about, and there's really not too many, you know, there's trucks running around, but not enough information about them to figure out how to emulate it in your own style. So,
yeah, for sure. And that's where I would, you know, just recommend going to a shop that you trust, especially if you're located in, you know, Southern California. The LTW guys are, you know, they're a great, you know, shop, and they offered a lot of guidance, gave me a ton of options, and even kind of provided some visual examples for what the end build could look like to kind of help manage expectations as a customer, you know, because you see a lot of videos, you know, you can do a lot of your own research, but until you get into a shop that really knows what they're doing, you know, that's kind of where the rubber meets the road, as they would say.
Yeah, you don't want to go into it blind. And as we were talking off camera as well, when I was speccing out the truck, because I'm going to go over some ride height specs. You know, this one's set at 9 inches, and we'll go over that here in a second, but the significance is that it's great that LTW took the time to set it up at the proper ride height. It's not nose high and aggressive to where you're trying to figure out what to do with the rear. I get those DMs too sometimes where it's like, hey, my truck is just not sitting level, but it's set up, and it's like you got to go over the measurements, and a lot of shops to clear tires and wheels will just crank up the front end, which decreases ride quality, also puts premature wear and tear on components as well. So we'll go over those specs here in a minute, but I think it's great that the truck is all set up perfectly. You had a great experience with LTW, and the truck looks great. Yeah, really happy with it. Let me give everyone some measurements real quick here, because I know some of you guys are going to be wondering, like, how tall is this truck? If you're going to try to fit it underneath, you know, some type of overhang or anything like that. So real quick here, let's start off with the center hub to the fender. Center hub to fender on this truck is 33 inches. And as stated in many other videos, these trucks are usually coming off the showroom floor at 24 inches. So that gives us a 9-inch ride height. And as you can see at that 9 inches on the front end of the truck, we still have a good amount of droop travel in between there. Ball joint angle is still okay, and CV angles are still looking good as well, and tie rod angles. So this is at 9 inches. I wouldn't suggest going any much further than that, because then you're going to start decreasing your ride quality, overstretching the suspension, and then obviously just, you know, having some it's just not recommended to go any further than that. So this is at 9 inches. In the back, it's running just the block that comes in the kit. And I'm going to give you a measurement from the pinch weld down at the bottom frame here, and then the pinch weld over here on the back side to give you the stance, the rake to the truck. The front is 27.5 inches from pinch weld to ground, and the rear of the cab is 27 inches. So it's got about a 1/2 inch difference between each other. So it's pretty much dead nuts level, if not just a tad high on the front, but it does not look bad at all. If you wanted to bring the rear end up, you can simply add our shim kit that we do provide. We have on our website or any of our local dealers, and that shim kit will have shims that are 1/4 inch thick, and you can stack up to 4 of them to be 1 inch total, and those shims go into the spring pack. So that is another product that you can add to the rear to bring up the rear height, to fine tune how you want the truck to look. Let's talk about the cab height. And as you know, you have that shark fin up at the top of the cab that sticks up a little bit further. These cabs are kind of hard to measure just because of, you know, that shark fin being inboard a little bit, but I'm measuring this one out on these tires at 88.5 inches to that shark fin up top. The bed rail height, if for whatever reason you're trying to put a cab over or anything over the bed, we're sitting at the axle, we're sitting at 45.5 inches. Actually, sorry, I do not have that measurement right here on my hand. I'll put that down and below in the description. What I do have is the bed, from the bed floor to the ground is 45.5. I'll have all these measurements down in the description, so then it's all nicely, you know, put together and everything. But that'll just kind of give you an understanding of how tall this truck is sitting. And like, you know, Pat was saying, he goes off road, nothing like rock crawling or anything like that, but he's definitely got more ground clearance. It's an IFS truck, and I know sometimes people talk about, oh, the diff is real low and it could get caught up on something. Well, you do have, you know, again, these trucks aren't built to be rock crawlers, you know, but off-road capabilities are there. If you're doing something more aggressive with your truck like that, maybe something else that you might think about going a different direction. But this truck is totally capable to go and explore with your family and have some adventure trips off-road like Pat is doing himself. I think really we've covered everything at this point. Pat, I thank you for coming out. Show me your truck. I've seen it online. You sent me pictures, and I was really happy with the results as much as you were. So I'm glad to be able to film it today. As always, if you guys have any questions on any of the trucks that we display, feel free to DM me or DM me. My name is Nick. You can DM me on Instagram or Facebook. I'm not in the office all the time, but that's where you can find me. So on YouTube, it's kind of hard to keep up with everything, but I'll try my best with the comments. Otherwise, you can call our office and talk to any of our reps there, find a local dealer to wherever you're located, an installer, and get the product shipped out to you. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks, Pat.
Thanks.